figure fans, it's the one and only Optibotimus coming at you with another video review. And on today's episode, we're going to be taking a look at the new Hot Toys MMS 498 of the Wasp from Ant-Man and the Wasp. For the package, absolutely gorgeous. You got a real cool image of the Wasp right there. You got this really nice holographic foil text. Absolutely love the way that looks. And then you can see the Pimtech logo right in the background. Coming on the side, you got that Pimtech logo right down there. And then you can see that the front kind of bleeds over to the side. And you got the little foil Wasp logo there as well. Opposite side here has a continuation of that art. And then again, you got that really nice foil effect up there. Come around to the back of the box and you can see the customary warnings and contact information. Nothing overly spectacular, but then it is a shoebox style package, so you lift that up just like so. Then on the inside here, you got the little flap here with the cast and crew responsible for making the figure. And then you move that down, and then you got the clamshell with the figure and all of her accessories. But for the packaging, that's about it. So without further ado, let's get her out here and see how cool she actually is. Alright, so here we have Hope Van Dyne, otherwise known as the Wasp, open up and out of her packaging. And starting off first, as always, she does come with her instruction sheet. Now, there's not really a lot that is in here, but you do want to make sure that you are very thorough in checking all this stuff out. Shows how to put the lights in, how to swap out the head, her range of motion, and also how to attach her articulated full-sized wings. Which, yeah, you do want to be careful with all of that stuff. Now, coming down to start off first with her accessories, she comes with a fairly decent amount. A little bit less here because Pepper has struck. Yes, that wily little kitty ninja decided to steal a small accessory. Where it is, I have no idea. For all I know, she ate it and pooped it out. Who knows? But what I do have left, in addition to the two fisted hands that are currently on her, you do get a pair of fairly relaxed hands, but also in a little bit more of a gripping kind of pose. Real nice detail on these. Coming in to take a closer look, you can see a lot of really nice sculpted in detail with the glove itself. The little zapper weapon thing that she has. You can see that sculpted to the back of the wrist. But overall, great detail. Even on the inside, you can see some nice texture and things of that nature. Really very good sculpt on these little fellas. So you do get those. You do get a pair of gesturing hands where they're a little bit more open. You can kind of see that it's a little bit kind of like what's, well, if you can kind of see it, that little hand right there. It kind of looks like that one. So you do get that. You also do get a right hand that is designed to hold her little disc. This one, I don't remember. I think the red one is the one that makes them get bigger. But this, if you guessed, is one of the accessories that Pepper stole. As you can see, it's very tiny, which just appeals perfectly to her little tiny mouth. So I'm guessing that there was a blue one, and she has stolen that one. So there's that. But nice detail on here as well. Like I said, you got the silver paint with the little red dot. I'm dropping it. So overall, really nice. And it does help hold in here really very nicely. There's a little gap between the thumb and the index finger. And the hand here holds that perfectly fine. That's a nice little kind of hand to use that. She does come with a couple extra wrist pegs. They are a little bit smaller as this is a female character. The wrist pegs are a little bit smaller, so you do get a couple extras of those. You get a couple different back attachments, spinning her around here and then kind of coming, let me zoom back here a little bit. So you have this open section right here. Now, when her wings aren't deployed, this is what you have. This is the little back harness, and then the clear section here are the wings themselves. I don't know how that's going to come across, but amazing amount of detail sculpted into those. I absolutely love it. You can kind of, if I get it in the right light, you can kind of see the little, I don't want to say like a honeycomb pattern, but just amazing detail put into it to give it a sense that there's more going on there. I mean, that is really very, very cool. And then this just comes around and you got little pegs on the back, and I'm not gonna put it all the way in because I'm gonna take it off, but that just goes on. And that's the generic look when she would just be like this with the mask on, I guess, with the unhelmeted portrait, I guess. You could possibly have that on there as well. It's all a matter of personal preference, but you just kind of wiggle that very carefully. You don't want to damage anything. And then when you do have the wings on here, which we'll take a closer look at, this is the one that you're going to use because the wing sections attach in there and then they come out from the side. So I'll show that here in a bit, but you do get two of those back attachments. You also do get this little miniature version of her, which is absolutely fantastic. Great detail on this. Hopefully that focus is in there. But you can see the nice translucent wings right there. She's in a flying sort of pose, or at least a hovering pose. One thing that's nice is that it is in great scale with the one that we got with Ant-Man. If I can get him to kind of stand here just on my hand, you can see the scale works very, very nicely with these. So I love the fact that they did that. And much like they included the little clear stand, which is permanently attached, she also has one which is permanently attached, which I'm perfectly okay with. I mean, I have several different Ant-Man, Pepper, I don't know if you can hear that, but she is running crazy right now. But you got several different size Ant-Man and things. So, I mean, I just love the fact that I have a whole bunch of different scales here. So you do have a little miniature one that you can play around with. Now, she does come with an alternate unmasked portrait. This is Evangeline Lilly, absolutely spot on. I mean, they did an amazing job with this portrait. Really super happy with it. I'm trying to see if it kind of looks like there's a little paint lacking right there. Doesn't it kind of look like there's a little bit of paint, like not completely on there? I don't know if you're able to see that very well, or if the camera's not focusing on it, but that is an amazing portrait, I think. Really does capture Evangeline's look in the film. It really, really does. It is a sculpted hairpiece. You do have a ponytail, but it is on a little swivel, so you can move that around to position it in a more natural kind of position when it's actually on the head, or body, I should say. But that is really quite impressive. Really very, very, I feel like I'm not capturing all the light or all the details because it's a little bit darker, but absolutely fantastic. Now, one of the other accessories is this little back piece. So I'm going to show this off. The head pops off just like so. I do kind of wish, now when you put this on there, I do kind of wish, and I'll touch on this a little bit more, wish that this section right here was flesh toned, because when you put this on, it kind of is there, and I feel like that would be her exposed neck. That's really starting to bug me, that's like that. It's a little, like I said, a little bit of scrape, it looks like. I mean, maybe that's the way that it is. I'm going to have to look at that a lot closer to see if that is something. But you can see you can swap that head on there. But I feel like the suit comes up and then that... well, and that's probably why paint keeps getting scraped off of her, because I'm a klutz. But haha, no problems. But like this piece right here, I wish was flesh colored. I just think that would work better because it didn't go all the way up in the movie. So, like I said, I kind of wish that was a little bit more flesh tone. But that looks great on there. That really, really does. But you can take this little section, which when the suits would retract the helmet, as you can remember that new technology, it would kind of basically be hanging off here on the back. So you got a little slot right at the top of her backpack that this little black piece slides into. Literally just slides down. And that is like the retracted version of her helmet right there in the back. And this is why it's nice to be able to articulate this around, because you can't have it really, well, I guess you kind of can, but it does put some stress on this pulling it away. I just kind of like leaving it off to the side. But you can do that, and that is her unhelmeted look, which is just as good, in my opinion, as this. And again, we'll take a closer look at all this stuff here in a little bit. but here are her wings. I'll show you how to attach these. And then again, that amazing kind of textural detail is also in there. I don't know if, oh, you can totally see it like right there. That is a cool look. I mean, really does give a very real sort of sense of these wings. Great detail with the silver on here. All the way around, it gets a little bit darker towards the base section, and then they are articulated and they are on ratchet joints. So you can position these how you want. You have a right and a left pair, which obviously we'll take a closer look at, and I'll show you how to attach them. You also do get her display stand. It says Ant-Man and the Wasp. When you look at this, though, you can see that the suit is a little bit more yellow, whereas this is a little bit more gold. I do like the way that looks. That's a nice homage to the original Wasp. I do like that. But I still don't like the fact that they, and then you got Hope Van Dyne written right in there instead of it saying the Wasp. I don't like that they give us just the articulated pillar and not a just regular, I mean, you can remove that, but a regular kind of crotch sort of thing to have her stand up, because this kind of makes it so that you have to have her flying, and I don't know if I'm going to want to do that, just because the wings are so big. They do take up a lot of space. I haven't quite decided. I feel like I'm leaning towards that scene when all the women come together in Endgame, because while this, yes, is a figure from Ant-Man and the Wasp, remember, in Endgame, everybody snaps back from their most recent kind of look. Like, for example, Spider-Man was wearing the Iron Spider suit. Hope here was a part of the snap and disappeared, so that when she got brought back, this is how she would look. So, well, yeah, it is from Ant-Man and the Wasp. It's also going to be an Endgame display for me. So that scene with all the women is definitely one that I may recreate. I know it's probably going to make some of you guys out there cringe, but I thought it was kind of a cool scene. And then she also does come with the backboard here that we're seeing a lot of these new Hot Toy figures come with. It's not bad, but it's small, and I mean, it works okay, but also kind of like the lighting is off. Like, that has a lot of blue in it, whereas this really doesn't. You can see that especially here, like in the chest. It almost looks like the whole chest and the suit itself is this bluish color, which you can see is not the case on here. You have a lot of these gold accents on there, which is cool, and I'm going to talk about that here in a bit, but it's not very photorealistic to the figure. And that does bother me, because if you wanted to do like a, her shrinking down sort of thing, and you can do that with that, but I mean, it just, I don't know, displaying it, I feel like that big one shouldn't be there, because that big one is almost 1-to-1 scale with the figure. I don't know, I'm not a big fan of how they're doing them. I feel like they're kind of like afterthoughts for the most part. They're still nice, but I definitely think that they could be better implemented, I guess. But for her accessories, that's everything. She comes with a fairly decent amount. I don't know what else she really could come with. So I'm quite content with her accessories. Now, coming in to take a closer look at the figure, as I kind of highlighted before, the Evangeline Lilly or Hope Van Dyne portrait is phenomenal. I think they did an outstanding job with it. My only gripe, as I talked about, would be right there. I mean, like, you can see clearly where the suit neck is, but in this instant, when like you turn her head, that little blue section right there, I feel should be like a flesh tone. That's one aspect that does bother me. I'll get over it. I don't think I'm going to display her with this head sculpt on, but it is something worth noting. Now, to swap that out, again, you just take that out. I'm going to take this off because we're going to put this portrait on. Now, this is phenomenal as well. Let's get that on there, and obviously that looks a little bit better because you can still see that gap right there, but obviously there wouldn't be flesh for that. So I get why they did it. I'm just not the biggest fan of it. But this helmet is absolutely phenomenal. I also really love that they got a nice gapping between where her face is and the front of the mask. You can like see my finger through there. I mean, I love that. Terrific amount of detail on there. You got like this almost carbon fiber look at the top, gorgeous silver paint. You got the ears. Everything on here is really very, very well done. It does light up. You just take this piece off, and then you got the light up switch right on the inside here. And obviously, well, let me find the switch. There we go. So we're going to turn the lights off. So there we go. And now blink. And that is really very, very cool. Lights up very nicely. Hopefully you can see that, because I'm looking at my camera. It's a lot darker on my camera than in my actual room. So that's kind of annoying, but I love that. That is really very sharp. I don't even know. I mean, it's such a subtle light that you really can't see it when it's like this, but really do like that. Suit wise is phenomenal as well. One of the design aspects that I really appreciate that they did with this is that in the original comics, the Wasp was a very sexualized character, as most female comic book characters really are. And she had a style to her because she was a fashion designer in the comics. And one thing that I really like is they didn't over-sexualize the look of Evangeline Lilly or enhance certain areas. They kept her very athletic and toned down. I'm really quite impressed with it. The suit, one thing that I also really love, has the Wasp. You can see like the eyes are right here, and then you got like the nose section right down there. I love that overall design aspect. You got a more rubbery material throughout the entire suit, but you can also see like in the wings how they had that honeycomb pattern. It has that throughout the suit as well, which is really very sharp. You can see that she does have her little blasters here, something that really did bother Scott because, you know, he thought maybe they didn't have that technology, and Hank was like, no, I did. I just didn't want to give it to you. You have a couple mixed materials in here. This feels like it's, I don't even know how to describe this. It's a cloth material, but then this section here is that rubbery material that the rest of the suit has. So that has a real cool contrast to it. Come down to the shins and everything. You got the piping on here is also extremely well done. Come down to the boots. Now this part I'm not a huge fan of. You can see that she's got like this extra piece. I know that it's accurate, but I don't think it looks all that good. You got these little ankle covers on her, which it looks weird and kind of makes it look like the foot curves around. So I'm not a huge fan in general of that, but the overall look on this figure is simply phenomenal, if you ask me. Now, as I was talking about with the wings, these little bits here, the smaller sections are for the lower section. These are the upper section ones. So what you want to do is come around here and get her standing so I can kind of show this. You got this little post right here that you're going to bend this around, and you're going to take this and you put that in right there. Just kind of set that in, let it sit for a second, and then bring this one in and do the same on this. Again, kind of rotate that around so that the post is a little bit easier to manipulate. Then bring that in, lock that in. It's kind of tricky to do because one side's going to want to fall out and the other side is just getting pushed in. So it does require some finesse, as it were. So let's get that just like that. Now you want to take this extra back section like I was showing that has the little open sides, push that in, and that helps hold everything in place, although I feel like it's not all that well. Let's see. Come on. Make sure that I get that lined up proper. And yeah, I can't really
it doesn't feel like it's completely compressed in. So I don't know if I'm necessarily doing something wrong, but it feels like you can see it's separating there. I'm not a real big fan of how that's kind of working, but the fact that you can get these wings on is really very nice. I think that it does have a very cool look and is quite butterfly-ish. Honestly, it kind of does look like a butterfly. And for comparison, here she is next to Ant-Man, who I definitely feel like she's a little bit taller than she should be. I guess maybe it's not all that bad, because she is kind of wearing little wedged sort of shoes, I guess. But Paul Rudd is about 5'10", and Evangeline Lilly is about 5'5". So I guess this isn't terribly bad. But I just think it is so freaking cool to finally be able to have Ant-Man and the Wasp. Now, for her articulation, it's fairly decent. And you pretty much have all the points that you normally have. You have a ball joint here for the head. You can get it also looking up and down. You create some sort of flying poses with her. That's about the best you're going to get. But it's not terrible. The shoulders here. Now, the instructions say that you can get it up to about, it says like 120 degrees. But when you start doing it, things start getting really bunched up here, and I don't like pushing it that high up. I would imagine you could probably rotate the suit around and get a little bit higher. Yeah, you can kind of do that. You just do want to be careful, obviously. When you meet resistance, stop. So you do have that. There is that little butterfly joint, so you can, and I don't mean these ones, but you can do a little forward and back. Goes out about that far, but you can see that, again, because of the suit and mostly just kind of the stretch of it, it does have a tendency to kind of pull down a little bit easier, but you can bring it out pretty decently. She does rotate at the upper part of the bicep. She's got two bends at the elbow, which that does bring it in about 120 degrees or so. The wrists do rotate. They have that weird little forward and back, so full range of motion there. The waist does get restricted, again, because of the suit. You don't want to push too far, but the crunches and everything are there. Now, the wings, I do have to mention this, and I screwed up, and I actually did break a small little piece, and I'm going to drop it, but I'm going to try gluing that on there. But these wings actually do have a right and left when you're looking at it, and that's why I couldn't get that completely compressed in. Make sure you look on the part that you tab in, there's an R or an L. Make sure that you get those in the right spot. The piece that broke on mine, I don't even know if you're going to be able to see it. It's kind of hard to see just in general, but you got a little silver bit right here in between the two. That one broke off on mine, but I'm going to try fixing that just for my own personal taste. But again, my fault entirely. So yeah, make sure you pay very close attention to these instructions. But the wings can articulate forward and back, which is nice. They don't really rotate, I don't think, and I'm not gonna push anything because, you know, that's the way it goes. But you can move those forward and back, which is really cool. The legs here, they go out, it says about 90 degrees. That's about right. So it does go out about that far, but only kicks forward roughly that far. So again, down here in the legs, it does get a little bit more restrictive. You do have the rotation at the upper part of the thigh, but again, the tightness of the suit does restrict some things. She does have two joints here at the knee, and then you come down to the ankle, and those are on ball joints, so you get forward and back, in and out, but because of this, and it's not too restrictive because it does separate from the body, so you can get some ankle tilt going on there. In general, the articulation is what you would expect on a 6-scale Hot Toy figure. It's pretty decent. And honestly, I mean, most people are just going to probably put her in a flying pose for the most part. I haven't quite decided if that's how I'm going to display her or if I'm just going to have her standing there looking cool next to Ant-Man. I mean, I like I said, I haven't decided, and the wings do kind of give a bigger space need to display her like this. But like I said, I think I'm going to go with that Avengers Endgame Women United scene where she didn't have this. It was her unhelmeted. It was, she's like adjusting this, which, that's cool. And most of those characters have figures. So, I can do that. I honestly think that I might. In general, though, a really solid release by Hot Toys. As I said, I don't know what other accessories you really could have included with her, but I think what she does come with is sufficient. I think what she comes with is sufficient. For me, like I said, she's going to go into my Avengers Endgame display because suit-wise, nothing really changed from Ant-Man and the Wasp to how she appeared in Endgame. Now, my guess is that the suit will probably go through some minor changes when we get that third Ant-Man movie. But right now, this is perfectly acceptable. The overall look here is really well done. I love what they did with the wings. Recreating how they looked in the film. I've said it time and time again. A lot of times you don't notice a lot of those really cool, intricate details that the actual suit had in the film until you get this and get to stare at certain aspects. That's one thing that I love about Hot Toys. They recreate these figures almost down to the letter. Now, yeah, sometimes the portraits aren't all that great. Paul Rudd's portrait from the Ant-Man and the Wasp movie was not very good at all. Evangeline Lilly, though, was nailed in my opinion. And like I said, the dual ability to display her with Ant-Man and the Wasp or Avengers is really cool. So I would absolutely recommend picking her up. She has a lot of versatility. So all that being said, right now it's a little bit harder to get her because a lot of Hot Toy figures are delayed because of COVID. But I do have a buddy that is overseas that can pick her up for you right now if you want. You do pay a little bit higher of a price, but really it's not that bad. Regular retail on this is, I want to say like $260. You can get her early for around $300 shipped. So if you do want to get her early, I'll put a link to his store right down in the video description. Or you can go to places online like Big Bad Toy Store, where she is available for pre-order. And when she finally does come in, they'll get her sent out to you right away. But beyond that, guys, that's about it. Remember, if you like this video, I would really appreciate it if you would do one very simple thing for me. And that's just to hit that thumbs up button. That one very small gesture really does go a long way towards helping me out. And I would really very much appreciate it. Also, I gotta send a huge shout out to all of my patrons and channel members who, through their continued support, now more than ever help to make reviews like this possible. And if you'd like information on how you can help support my channel by becoming a patron like these guys, feel free to check out my Patreon page at patreon.com/Optibotimus. Or if you want to keep all of your perks and rewards right here on YouTube like these guys do, consider becoming a member of Optibotimus Plus. For that, all you have to do is click on that little join button right down there. And finally, remember that the real trouble with the world is that too many people grow up. Thank you for watching and taking the time to be a kid.